Crowhill here. Today we have a short show about how our election predictions were completely correct. Hey, good evening, Pigweed.
Hello, right. Happy days.
Yeah, so what's going on?
I got a little something for you.
Okay, what are we drinking here?
What are we drinking?
Yeah.
Champaign!
Are we celebrating?
I think it's time to celebrate.
I think it's time to celebrate too, yes.
Happy days are here again.
Yes. There we go. Thank you very much. Quite a lot of foam on that champagne.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Yes.
For
to
a
celebrate
great day.
America as it ought to be.
Yes.
Yes. Things coming back to...
We're restoring sanity to the nation.
Restoring sanity. We're not going to have, trans football leagues or anything like that.
Right. So then, let me ask you what we're celebrating, and I'll give you two options.
Okay.
Are we celebrating Donald J. Trump and how he is going to rescue America and, by extension, all of Western civilization?
Okay.
Or are we celebrating the fact that we do not have 4 years of the destruction of America? if you had to rate them, the fact that we don't have President Harris.
Yes.
Is that more exciting to you, or is DJT in power?
That's a hard one.
It really is.
It is a hard one, but I think I'd have to go with the fact that Harris is not going to be president is what we're celebrating.
If it were another, perfectly nice Republican, let's say Marco Rubio was the president.
Okay, sure.
Then it would be easy to just be like, no Harris.
Yes.
That's all that matters.
Yes.
But when you think about
all the things that Donald J. Trump might do,
and that's the next thing I want to get into, because he has been president. Yep. So are there things that he could have done last time that he didn't?
Absolutely.
And so am I putting too much faith in this long list of things that I expect him to do that you could have done this before.
Right.
Although, look, he was a one-man show. He had no team.
He had no support. The whole institution of government was against him, and even the people who came onto his cabinet were like plants from establishment people.
Yes.
Like there wasn't a Trump team for the first administration.
No, so that's why I think this will be different. He's already been working with people for the last 2.5 years about who he plans and what.
Let's drink this champagne.
I'm getting thirsty here.
Cheers.
How about that?
All right.
Like victory.
Yes. All right.
So
fantastic.
I guess.
So first, let's talk about what our predictions were. Our predictions were that Trump would win, that he would win decisively, and he did.
But all right, let's do this right now. We also said the polls have to be closer this time because they were so embarrassed last time that they have to adjust.
You would think. Because last time they clearly undercounted Trump support. Right. So you would think that if they were professionals about it...
Yes, because this is your job.
That's your job.
Do you want to look like a failure at your job? We did the last time, so...
Yeah, how do we fix it?
We can't do it this time. I listened to Ben Shapiro. Well, I often didn't listen to Ben Shapiro because for 3 months he spent the first 20 minutes running down everybody's polls every single day.
It's pretty tiring.
It was tiresome. But they kept talking about, the Big Seven. So you've got...
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan,
Arizona,
Nevada, North Carolina.
What was the seventh one? I didn't know there was a seventh one.
I'm losing it.
All right, so they kept saying, all right, Donald can afford, if he loses, as long as then he will have to pick up Michigan, kept all of these
Michigan
different
or
variations.
Pennsylvania or something like that.
All these variations. If he loses this one, he might not win that one. What's he going to do? And how did it go? 7 for 7.
He won all the battleground states.
Now, of course, it took 5 days for Nevada and Arizona. Nobody even lives in Nevada. It took 5 days for them to
count them because they were crying as they were counting. So.
That slowed the process down.
I think so, yeah.
I know California was still only at 60%, but because it was a 60-40 break, they didn't.
Well, they had to take breaks and go to their cry rooms and get their emotional support animals as they were counting.
And that slows things down. But this is ridiculous. Wow, how come Florida was done by 1 hour after the polls closed.
And isn't it funny that other countries that use exclusively paper ballots can count them faster than we can when we use computers?
Right.
Like, does that make any sense at all?
None.
What is the benefit of these electronic balloting? What's the benefit? We get no benefit out of it.
No, except for the possibility of
that it can be hacked. Right. So I just go back to paper, for heaven's sakes.
Oh my goodness.
I don't. Here's what I would want: paper ballots that get scanned so that you can tally them electronically, but then you have a paper record to check it against.
That's how Maryland does it.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it, because you have the benefit of having a record, and you also have the benefit of a computer tabulating it.
Well, although they gave me the option of, a pen, scribbling on a piece of paper, and I guess the different booths have a just electronic button.
Oh, yeah.
And so I then give me the pen. I'll take the
exactly.
pen.
I took the pen. Yeah, because I don't trust the machine.
All right, it was a shellacking and popular vote. All right, and so the Babylon Bee was like, Democrats come out opposed to the popular vote because because the last 2 elections, all they did is gripe about the Electoral College.
Yes,
and now shut your fat face.
Yeah, now the Electoral College.
I mean, he gained in every
and he gained in like every possible demographic.
And 49 states plus DC, he did better than the previous time.
Yeah, and when there was one thing where Jake Tapper had somebody on his election show where he was saying, show us where Kamala did better than Biden. And they looked like every single county in the country. She didn't do better than Biden anywhere.
Wow. And who, who is happier than Joe Biden? Do you see the little pep in his step now?
Oh, I know.
He doesn't shuffle anymore.
I know. I think he's dropped 5 years off of his Alzheimer's. It's
he seems lucid. He seems upbeat.
I haven't seen him seem so lucid as he did in announcing that Kamala lost. Yeah. I mean, yes, it definitely bucked him up. For sure. I mean, I think a lot of the plaque was just falling off of his brain.
Right. He will always be able to say, I'm the only one who beat Donald Trump.
That's right.
And
that's right.
You pushed me off a cliff. And
it's so amazing. All these people who were saying that Trump was a threat to democracy, and they put forward a candidate who was never voted for by anybody.
Yeah. So democracy works like this. You take the guy who gets all the votes.
Yeah. You throw him away.
And then you
have some people with 5 people in a dark room decide who the next person's going to be.
Right. But 30 minutes after he resigned, he preemptively endorsed her, right?
I think
you think that was a strategy?
I think so. I think it was.
So now put them in the position like, we can't now call for some sort of quickie.
Right. Yeah, see, I think what happened was Pelosi and Obama and Schumer got to Biden and said, look, either you resign or Kamala 21st Amendments you. And is it 21st, 22nd, whatever the one is that they can kick him out. 25th. 25th. Yeah. 21st is like alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
bringing back the booze.
Yeah. So they said, look, you're gonna have to get out, or we're gonna kick you out. Yeah. So
it'll be you're right. It'll be humiliating and
that's right. So he concedes to that, says, okay, I'm not gonna run, but then he says, now I'm gonna stick you with this useless twerp that I've been working with for 4 years. Because they don't like each other at all.
Right.
And
Joe hates her.
Yeah. Who would know better than Joe how completely incompetent and stupid Harris is?
Yes. And he undermined her several times through the election.
He did. And she's a big nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely empty pantsuit.
Yes. She has a bad personality. She's mean to her staff.
She has zero accomplishments.
Zero accomplishments. She can't answer a question.
Simple.
She goes in.
Why do you want to be president?
Yeah. What are you going to do different?
Middle class.
Yeah. She's like no talent, no political ability. Nobody's ever voted for her. She's a great big zero. Except she's really good about this. She's really good about calling names. She's really good about alienating men.
Right.
She's really good about saying that Trump supporters are...
DEI culture, she can check a couple boxes.
That's right, yeah.
Check 2, 3, 4, depending on her audience.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So, yeah, she was a great big zero. No talent, stupid. She also had a very checkered past, which the media, of course, didn't cover the fact that she slept her way up through California politics. Right. We didn't hear the media covering that at all.
I saw Doug Emhoff.
Yeah.
He says in her defense says, when Kamala sees a problem, she puts her head down and goes to work.
People are like, yeah, she does. That's exactly
that's how she got here.
That was a cell
Doug,
phone.
That's the cell phone there, Doug.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But yes, I saw one clip where somebody said, Kamala slept her way to the top. And then some woman said, well, so did Trump. And I was like, you moron, it doesn't work that way. That's not the way these things work. Men can't sleep their way to the top. I mean, unless they're in an all-gay environment or something. It just doesn't work that way.
Oh, boy, that's rough.
Yeah, so why else did she lose? I think her policies, to the extent that she had any policies, were all loser policies.
Yes, because it's you didn't distinguish yourself. You made zero effort. So all we can assume is 4 more years of this.
Yeah, they asked her point blank in a friendly interview. They asked her,
friendly and thinking they were serving up a softball because obviously you thought about this.
Yes, you should have thought about this like in the shower every day.
Coming. They probably even told you the question was coming.
Yes, and how are you going to be different? Well, nothing comes to mind. Nothing comes to mind because you have no mind.
Yeah,
but I mean that was her. Her whole campaign was atrocious. But, of course, the media is telling us she ran a great campaign.
The greatest.
And the only reason that she lost was because
America's
full of Neanderthals and racists and bigots.
Racist black men and racist Latino men.
Yeah. Yeah. And you see people getting on saying, how can Latino men do this to themselves? Liberals like to say that Republicans are always voting against their own interests, but I don't think they understand.
Do you think
their
Latinos are big on trans sports and abortions and anti-Catholic
and more people coming across the border illegally and everything? It's crazy.
Crushed. I think that was his biggest gain, right? So he gained in everything, but I think the Latinos are up to 43%.
I think it was a 21% gain among Latinos, which is pretty amazing, despite the fact that there was a comedian who said that Puerto Rico is full of garbage or something.
Yeah, but that's the idea that there's some pan-Latino community. I'm sure there are plenty of Mexicans or who think Puerto Rico is garbage. You know what I mean? They're not offended. It's like you're talking about my country.
That's right. Yeah.
From El Salvador.
You've created this idea that all of us are lumped together in this group
and
called
they're
Latinos.
offended by it.
But Mexicans don't think that they're part of that same group. They're just Mexicans, right?
Yes.
It's
all right. So with that, on that note, now why she's terrible. Let's all look at why are we enthusiastic about DJT? And speaking of the boys' bathrooms, I say the end of trans madness.
Yeah. Well, I hope so. Although, did you see that clip? It was on CNN. There was a panel, a balanced panel on CNN means you have 5 liberals and 1 milquetoast conservative. I mean, it's the same thing on Fox News, to be honest. When they try to have a balanced thing, they have a whole bunch of conservatives and 1 halfway liberal. But this guy was saying, I don't think that Latinos were up for men or boys playing in girls' sports. And then one of the CNN panelists was like, thumping the table, they're not boys. I won't sit here and listen to this trans.
I won't sit at this table while with your
anti-trans hate speech. Yeah, well, you should have said, okay, get up and leave the table.
That's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
If calling boys.
If that offends you.
Then we're
sorry.
There's nothing we have to talk about.
Go stick your head in the toilet. I mean,
so Title IX is supposed to be the big victory for women since 1972, and now they just redefined women to include men.
Yeah.
So that's something at the federal level that they can just eliminate.
Yes, right.
Also, the military, getting rid of all those men in dresses.
Have you heard about the coup is the wrong word, but this plot by people in the Pentagon to figure out how they can subvert Trump's orders? It was uncovered in the news just a couple days ago.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, every one of those guys should be fired.
Yeah. The top, right. Yes. So we start at the top military brass all have to go, and anybody associated with Afghanistan
Yes.
have to go, and anybody who thinks that the greatest challenge for the military is climate change, you
Right.
got to go.
You got to go.
That the biggest problem inside the military is white supremacy.
Right.
Out.
Yeah.
And how about this? We focus on China and our enemies and breaking things and killing people.
Right.
Like
yeah.
the military.
That's what the military is supposed to be doing. Yeah.
So anybody associated with that has got to go.
Yes. And the thing is that Trump has had 4 years to think about this. But not only himself, there's been all these other intelligent conservatives who've been saying what went wrong the first 4 years and what needs to be done.
Yes.
And now he's got this team around him of people who have some really good ideas.
Yes, and the ideas are in place. The people are in place. I think before he just went in going, I got to find some people who'll be on my team. And,
Right.
Sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
Yeah.
But now,
And
because he had no political team.
He trusted other people to advise him. You need this person for Secretary of State and you need this person for this. And he, okay, fine, I'll go along with that. And that was a mistake, to go along with what the Republican version of the deep state was recommending. That was a huge mistake, and he's not going to make that mistake again.
Right, and yes, so the end of DEI and equity and racial grievance.
Yeah.
From I don't know what role they have to get it out of everything from elementary school to
I
military.
don't want to go from a liberal imperial presidency to a conservative imperial presidency. Right. I want things to be done properly. I mean, there are certain things that are within the president's purview to do by executive order. Mm-hmm. Fine, do those things by executive order. But other things, I want it to go through the legislature. I want it to be done right.
But I also think this changes the entire tone of wokeness.
Yes.
Everybody who sat back quietly and went through the classes and under their breath mumbled, "This is BS," got home and complained to their husbands or wives.
Yeah.
It can now come out of the closet.
Yes, now they can come out.
I think the general attitude about wokeness, the freedom to say, "This is BS," I think people will be liberated.
So there are 3 nursery rhymes. I'm trying to decide which is the one that characterizes liberals the best.
Okay.
Is it The Boy Who Cried Wolf?
Yeah.
Is it Chicken Little? The sky is falling, it hit me on the head. Or is it The Emperor Has No Clothes?
Right. And let me add, what happened to Sticks and Stones?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But all of those, it's basically, what was that book years ago? Everything I Need to Know I learned in kindergarten or something like that. It's basically these fundamental truths you learned when you were a child.
That's right.
Why
are you falling back on them now? Like what happened that you lost these things? Like, so Chicken Little, they've been saying that this is the end of democracy, the sky's falling, everything's going to be horrible. They've been telling us that. The Boy Who Cried Wolf, he's Hitler, Nazi, racist. I mean, those words have jumped the shark.
Yes.
I mean, they just don't have the bite that liberals think they have. And The Emperor Has No Clothes, they've been going around saying things that are straightforwardly false that we're expected to believe.
Right, everything from the senile man isn't senile to a man in a dress can have babies.
Right. And people are just saying, no, I'm not going to believe that stuff anymore.
Yes. But
I don't care if you call me a racist or a Nazi, and no, a man is not a woman.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, and this is going to change the general tone.
Yes.
And the ability for normies, the return of the normies, to stand up and say, that's nonsense.
Yeah. And that is a huge victory. That is a huge cultural victory. And now the bad side of it is there are still quite a lot of people, hair on fire, crazy liberals, who I'm certain are going to riot and burn on Inauguration Day.
Yeah, well, I mean, last year they got upset the day after the election, so they haven't been able. They haven't mustered up that energy. Now, I think in a couple of months they'll petered out.
Quieted down. I hope so. That would be lovely. I don't know. I'm still concerned about domestic.
Okay, the open borders, amnesty over.
Yes. Giving away money to foreign wars. That's
but I don't understand how entitlement benefits go to people that broke into the country to begin with. That should never have been anything.
I know.
Ever.
How come you're here illegally and now we give you a phone and a place to live and spending money? What is that about?
Yeah, I mean, stuff that Americans don't get unless
Right.
they got to come in and you have to prove it. And you're a natural American.
Yeah.
You've been paying taxes your whole life. You're falling hard times.
Yeah.
You should a little help from the government. That's cool. So I would say part of this whole you can't deport 15 million people or whatever. How about don't give them anything and they'll self-deport?
Yeah. Stop the benefits.
I actually think you go through the process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's this woman who's so excited about voting for the first time. She took her 11 years to become a legal citizen.
Right.
So excited about voting. I would say for that person, you still have 5 years where you can't vote and you don't get any benefits put into the system.
Right.
But this idea, so this problem will solve itself once you just say, all right, you broke into the country. Well, good luck. Don't steal anything because you're getting deported. And unless you've got money
Right. Unless you brought your own money to fund yourself.
yourself.
Because I heard, generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of government benefits to poor people. I mean, obviously there are situations where I'm in favor of that, but I'm not a huge fan of welfare state kind of spending. However, I heard these people in Chicago saying, how come these illegal immigrants are getting a phone and money and help for finding jobs and a place to stay, and people who grew up in Chicago, like, where's my phone?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And you do it in an athletic center or something that's set up to help the poor kids have a place to go.
And you take that away from them.
You take that away and turn it
into a shelter for homeless people. It's so
illegal,
so ridiculous. Yeah, illegal homeless people. It's an absolute ridiculous thing and it has to stop. And I think it will stop.
Yeah, and so what is it? What do you say? Extreme cases make right? So
hard cases make bad law.
That one. So to make the argument, well, you can't deport 15 million people, or so you can't deport anybody, right? That's kind of how that's. Well, how about we start with criminals, and how about we cut off benefits?
Yeah,
and we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there. We're not committed to 20 million deportations because we won't have to.
Right. And I'm not positive that it can't do it. But at least let's try.
Oh, you can just get started and see where it goes. I mean, that should be easy enough.
Yeah, make it illegal to hire an illegal alien.
Yeah. Oh, back to my naturalized citizen. There's still, like I said, you still aren't a full citizen. And if you commit a crime, how do you like this metric? If you commit a crime in which you are sentenced to 10 years or more, you still get kicked out.
Wow.
Even
after following all the rules.
We gave you the chance. We gave you the chance to be a good and productive citizen.
And you would.
And so we were trying to figure out what's a misdemeanor. I mean, how low of what kind of crimes qualify. Yeah. I'd make it nice and easy. 10 years means you've done something bad enough.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. What's next on your list?
I've got... well, we talked about cleaning house in the military, but how about the DOJ, the FBI, the DOD, CIA, HHS?
A lot of those places, you just need to basically fire the top 2 levels of management.
Yes.
And then have some strict rules for who's going to get promoted from below.
Right. So if you've got the departments of transportation, energy, education, etc., and you say for all these departments, equity is their primary concern. I thought the primary concern should be energy,
transportation.
Right. So anybody who has that mentality,
gone.
They're gone. There are going to be people below them who are just keeping their jobs and following orders.
Right.
But the people who've promoted that this is at the center of all government activity, gone.
They've got to go.
Get women out of the Secret Service. All right, that didn't need to happen. Melissa McCarthy up there trying to protect the president.
A 5'4", 250-pound woman trying to protect the 6'2".
Can't holster a gun. So that's because they had a woman in charge whose primary goal was not to protect the president. It was to make sure you had equity in.
She wanted to get more women in the Secret Service. That was her goal.
That was her goal. So anybody who has a goal other than the actual goal needs to go from wherever you work.
What a strict man you are. We have a goal. You have to go for that goal, not this other one over here.
This other whatever. So I think that's easy. No pride flags on federal buildings or embassies.
Well, there shouldn't be any flags except for the United States flag. How about that?
On an embassy. What are you doing?
That's crazy. And that's
unless you're in a Muslim country.
Yeah, sure. Then you can put up the flag.
Then you don't fly the LGBT
flag. Maybe that's where we should, just to make them mad. No, I'm kidding. I don't want them flying those flags anywhere. But it's pretty absurd that we are exporting our craziness. It used to be we exported American culture. That was like, hamburgers and blue jeans and rock and roll music.
Democracy.
Yeah, democracy. And now what we're exporting is boys can become girls. I mean, come on.
And shoving it down people's throats.
Exactly.
Like, hinging money.
Exactly. If you don't adopt these nutty ideas, then you lose your benefits.
What about the Office of Government Efficiency and massive cuts to the federal government? Is it possible? And do you like it?
I love it, but I don't know what's the best way to do it. Like, practically speaking, if you just go in and lay off a third of the government workforce, what's that gonna do?
Well, I mean, that's why Elon Musk was saying, you know what? Our A-listers are not in the government. Mm-hmm. They are out there innovating and creating things.
Yes, true.
So now we're getting those innovators. We're getting Elon. We're getting Vivek. Dude, he cut like 80% of Twitter.
It still runs better than it did before.
Yeah, so I think that he understands what is to be expected, and you don't just want to set a general goal. You assign somebody.
Yeah,
you are in charge here, and your job is on the line. And if you have that private sector approach with, Donald, Vivek, J.D. Vance has only been in politics for one.
Yeah, right.
He's a private equity guy. So you've got your top four guys that haven't spent their entire lives you got Joe and Kamala, who've never had a real job or created a job, or had a budget to meet or profit to make. Mm-hmm. Now, get rid of those people. I think we can do some major cuts. Now, what would be the pushback? I mean, there would be a lot obvious pushback, people losing their jobs.
Yes.
But what recourse do they have? I'm entitled to my job?
I don't know. I think there are some kind of protections for federal workers about you have to go through a process to get rid of them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how that works, but what if you just close down the organization? Like, for example, the Department of Education just shouldn't exist.
Yes.
Just close it down.
Right.
And so...
Yeah, we had, like, at my work after COVID,
yeah.
they didn't fire people, but they eliminated the job that they used to have.
Yeah.
So there's no place for them to come back to because the job doesn't exist anymore. Like
right.
They weren't fired and replaced by somebody else. It was just the job doesn't exist.
Yeah. We no longer have a position for buggy whip maker.
Yeah.
Right. And the Department of Education should just be eliminated. And there are other departments. Remember Carly Fiorina? I was listening to her on the radio ages ago when she was running for president, and she was talking about how in the private sector, there's no department in a company that gets an automatic increase every year, right? There are no departments in any real business that gets that.
There's an evaluation.
Yeah, every time they evaluate, do we really need the department of the typing pool? Do we really need the typing pool anymore?
Yeah.
Right? People are typing their own documents. Do we need the typing pool? No, in the federal government, it's just, there's a 5% increase in the typing pool every single year.
Yeah, and then they scramble to spend their money before the end of the fiscal year to make sure it doesn't look like they had excess money because then we won't get more next year.
Yeah.
So that's that whole mentality's got to go.
Yeah,
Now, what about moving departments out of the city?
Oh, I love it. I would love to see the federal government dispersed across the whole country.
Why isn't the Department of Agriculture in Omaha?
Right, exactly.
Where they grow things.
Put the Department of Energy, which I'm not positive it exists, but put it in Texas or Louisiana or Pennsylvania for that matter.
I mean, one thing is, D.C. is, votes 92% blue. So everybody that these people are surrounded with, even if they came from somewhere else,
it's the swamp.
You're not going to get invited to the parties. You're not going to sit at the cool kids table.
That's right.
Unless you get on board. And so now it's just
get rid of the swamp. And the way to do, I totally agree with the idea of because they're meeting most of the time on Zoom anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to be. And the reason that we had the government all in one place is because they had to ride there by horse,
Exactly.
So we don't have to do that anymore. So move people around, move departments all over the country.
All right. How about this one? In the next 4 years, we will have the Olympics, the World Cup, and the 250th anniversary.
Wow.
Do you want a patriotic president or a president that's ashamed? When you're on the world stage 3 times in 4 years,
right.
Do you want a patriotic president or someone who's ashamed? Who's going to? I can imagine if Harris and the Harris Biden, well, not Biden, but the Harris administration making slavery and civil rights the central point of the 250th year anniversary.
That's right.
Well, of course they would.
We've been a rotten place for all the. Finally, we're starting to get a little better. Yeah, we want a patriotic.
So I think
Donald Trump is going to have a big party for the 250th.
Yes.
What is it, like sesquicentennial or something?
I heard there's somebody go down like 4 different combinations that you could call the 250th. Oh. Yeah, but yes, like the sesquicentennial plus 50 or whatever. Then they just maybe it's just called the 250th. That's probably this.
We don't use that kind of those words but anyway.
He's talking about something similar to the World's Fair.
Oh yeah, an innovation thing.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah. But how about pardoning all non-violent J6ers?
Well, I wouldn't go. That sounds a little too blanket to me. Generally speaking, they need to clear up a lot of the prosecutions. A lot of the prosecutions were crazy. I mean, people who were just, grandmas who were down there, who were invited in by the...
They walked through an open door with a police escort.
Yeah, and they walked in and they looked around.
They stayed behind the ropes and they took a selfie.
And these people are being prosecuted. That obviously is an abuse of justice and has to be corrected. I wouldn't go so far as to just do a blanket nonviolent pardon, but a vast majority of them need.
But they're easy to identify. You know who the people are trolling. Yeah, they're right there. I mean, as much as they tried to hide them, they're there. Yeah. Federal standards for elections. We kind of touched on that a little bit on how.
Yeah, I would like.
For federal elections, local state elections is handled by the states. But what?
I would like to see a little more order to that process. I don't know how much the states and the federal government should be involved, because states do have their own ability to set their own rules to a certain extent. So I respect that.
Yes, I mean I tend against the federalization of anything, but this I don't know.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you noticed this dirt. It's not that I didn't wash my face. Mm-hmm. I'm actually making another attempt at a beard. Yeah. And I would say with J.D. Vance and Ted Cruz, we can make politics safe for beards again.
There we go. That men are voting Republican. And maybe it's because of J.D. Vance's beard,
Yes. The revenge of the beard.
Yes. It used to be, back when I was working as an editor at a publishing company back in the 80s and 90s, I was always told that I should shave my beard because it didn't look professional.
And?
Nowadays, everybody's got a beard.
Did you shave?
No.
Get Matt Walsh to shave.
I've had this beard since high school. There was one time where I shaved it. I shaved my beard when my oldest daughter was 2. And she didn't recognize me and was kind of scared. I grew it right back. That's the one time I've not had
children.
One time I've not had a beard in however many years.
All right, so that's good. We got beards. Did you want to tell? My notes here. This is pre-election or day after. Mm-hmm. I said I'm ready for the meltdown. Cry harder, please.
Yes.
Then get over it. Will Democrats calm down and dial it back, or set their hair on fire for 4 straight years?
It's going to be a combination of both. We've already seen from AOC and from other lunatics on the left, we've already seen a doubling down on the craziness.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a part of the Democratic Party that's going to go farther into nutty land.
Right.
But I think there are other people who are going to say, wait a minute, we've gone too far.
But what about TikTok land?
Oh, gosh. I don't know.
Have you seen what's going on out there?
Well, I'm not on TikTok, but every once in a while I see a TikTok video on X. So that's
I don't have a TikTok either. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I see. Libs
of TikTok. Yeah. Right. Yeah, so you see all these crazy meltdowns.
Amazing.
It is totally amazing.
I mean, it really does look like a mental disorder.
It does. It's really crazy.
So detached from reality. Especially 2016, a man with no political experience, you can map onto him every dystopian fear that you have because there's no track record.
Yeah.
Are these people old enough to remember 4 years?
You would think. Okay.
It's worse. They're actually
jail
worse.
All his political opponents.
He's going to reinstitute slavery.
Right.
It's absolute insanity.
It is crazy. And my reaction to it is, look, if you've been convincing yourself that there's a monster under your bed for the last year, and now you're crying about it, my only response is grow up. I mean, I don't have any patience for that.
All right, so people didn't get off of school after October 7th.
Right.
But you don't have to go to class.
I saw things on LinkedIn. I saw companies saying they're giving their employees the day off to mourn.
How? Where are the grown-ups?
I don't know.
How have
we've lost
we
all the
become
grown-ups.
such an adolescent country?
It's not even adolescent. It's like pre-adolescent.
Right, because adolescents are past temper tantrums.
Yes.
This is laying on the ground, kicking your feet in the air.
It is. It's just nutty.
So Yale didn't gave them the day off. Mm-hmm. They also provide, I'm not kidding, milk and cookies, crayons, and Legos. This is Yale.
Soft animals to hug.
Yes.
Or something?
This is who the future, our elites come from here. Cookies, crayons, and Legos to get over.
Wow.
So the election that you didn't. What?
Isn't that insulting?
Yeah, I mean, if you were paying the $70,000 as a parent?
I would be insulted if somebody said,
"Why are you turning my children into smaller children?"
Yeah, yes, something bad happened to me. I'm over it now. I certainly don't need cookies. I mean,
what was my reaction to? I was bummed about the last election.
Yeah.
But I don't remember any actual emotional, like, oh boy, here we have 4 years of this guy. That was the extent of how upset I was.
I know.
No, I was upset because I took the day off afterwards so that I could gloat all day.
Yeah.
And then I just sat at home.
I couldn't gloat.
Mad. That's right. So I didn't take off this year.
Yeah, right.
The next day. Well, let me go through
a couple things here on why did Harris lose? Okay, I'm going to go back to a couple things we haven't covered.
All right, we missed a couple.
We talked about no talent, stupid, slept her way up, didn't go through a democratic process, and I got to talk about Gall's law. Let me talk about that in a minute. She clearly hates men. Well, unless they can help her to get up the ladder.
Yeah.
She loves them. She hates Catholics. She said all kinds of nasty things about Catholics. She loves stupid progressive ideas. Waltz is an absolute weirdo. What a weird dude. And
who waves like that?
I know. You can just see from his mannerisms, there's something wrong with that guy. I don't know what it is, but there's something wrong with that guy. But I want to get back to Gall's law. Gall's law is a principle in software development, and it goes like this. A complicated system cannot be built from scratch. You can only build a complicated system by starting with a simple system that works in the real world.
Okay.
And then based on input from real world input, building it up into a complicated system.
All right.
Okay?
And how are you applying?
There's an analogy between that and elections. Because you can't have a bunch of geniuses sitting in a room coming up with the perfect candidate and foisting that candidate on the electorate. Because it never works out that way. Think of all the times we've had primaries where they're saying, oh, Bush, what was the other Bush who didn't, Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush is clearly going to take you don't know what's going to happen when people are faced with the reality of the electorate. For example, I thought for sure our buddy in Florida was going to be the top guy.
Yeah.
But he apparently just didn't hit it off with the public. So you can't.
Right, he checked all the right boxes.
Yes, and he's a brilliant man, and I like him.
Yeah, he's successful.
But you just can't. You can't do that. Something has to go through real world experience, the real world checks. Going out and speaking with people and interacting with people. That's the way you build a political candidate. You can't just throw one out there.
Right. All right. Yes. Well, let's finish with Walls here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love it shows how manufactured, how the mainstream media is just an extension of the Democrat Party, because somebody came up with the idea that, all right, let's do this. Everybody called J.D. Vance weird.
And then you see montages of everybody calling him weird.
From your local station all across the mainstream media.
Reading from the same script. Yeah.
It's so fake, and he's just the biggest normie, while weirdo Walls.
Yeah. It's the classic liberal thing. One one classic way to understand the liberals is whatever they're accusing their opponents of doing is precisely what they're doing.
Yes, yeah.
And when they come out and say J.D. Vance is weird, it's because Walz is weird. That dude is weird.
But at least his wife is God.
Oh my gosh.
What a freak show.
She is definitely a freak show. From her mannerisms, to like the way she claps.
And her scary eyes.
Yeah, everything about her. Both of them. Just really weird.
And it was all because they didn't want to pick the Jew, Josh Shapiro.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania. Of course, now we know that winning Pennsylvania wouldn't have done it, but it looked like it at the time. That Pennsylvania was key.
Yeah.
So we won't pick the popular Democrat from Pennsylvania because
he doesn't check the right boxes.
Because he might because that might upset the Jew-hating Muslims in Michigan.
Yeah.
Or something.
How about Harris's husband, Doug Emhoff, being the new model of masculinity?
Well, they trotted that one out there, didn't they? And that the daughter was maybe the most beautiful woman in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure she was. And so he's the new model of masculinity. What did he do? He knocked up his nanny, got her pregnant,
and punched his girlfriend.
Punched his girlfriend. Yeah, great model of masculinity.
Yeah, no coverage of those,
right?
Those at all.
That.
So the short show isn't really working out.
Oh, sorry.
I thought. So I'm going to open a beer here.
Okay, good. So one of the things that I'm absolutely looking forward to is J.D. Vance just tearing up the idiots in the liberal media. There have been so many clips of him.
So calm.
He's so calm and he's so smart. And they come out and they say some idiotic thing and he just tears them to pieces.
Doesn't stumble, fumble.
I'm looking forward to 4 years of that. Watching him rip them up.
He is good at that. Will they try to ruin the nation between now and January? Or are they just going to limp their way, the current administration?
Yeah, I don't know. So will Biden pardon Hunter? That's a question. Right. But will he do something? There was some talk. People wanted Sotomayor to resign from the Supreme Court.
Well, that's on my list too. First off, did anybody consult with Sotomayor? Is she on her deathbed?
Exactly.
I mean, she's not that old.
Didn't they do that once before? Didn't they push some other liberal out?
Yeah,
Robert.
John Paul Stevens.
Yeah.
They pushed him out because right at the end of Obama to get Sotomayor in.
Yeah.
So. But then first off, that probably technically can't happen.
Yeah,
certainly can't happen without her help.
I don't think
unless she's dying of cancer. What are you guys talking about?
Yes, because the Senate gets replaced before the president takes office. Like the Senate gets replaced something like January 6th or something like that. The new Senate and the House comes in. So I'm not sure there's time between now and then to vet a new Supreme Court justice and appoint them, even if you could convince Sotomayor to come out. And what kind of precedent does that set? You know, we're going to make it very obviously political when Supreme Court justices resign.
Yes, and they tend not to resign. They mostly die in office.
Right, yeah.
So would Thomas or who's the other oldest?
Alito.
Or Alito, would they figure 4 years is enough? And sometime in the next 4 years, that would be enough. So you're at...
I don't know. I mean, I think they love their work and they'd be happy as long as they feel like they can do it.
I think this is coming from somebody else. I don't think this is coming from either of those guys who feel like, I'm getting to the end of my time. Ginsburg, she made a huge mistake.
She hung on for a long time.
Too long for her party because she just thought that she could get through the Trump years.
Yeah.
So we might have... If that were to happen, if these two guys are like, you know what, I am kind of ready to retire and I don't want to wait 5 years, I'll just do it in 4 years, and then you would have 5 sitting justices all appointed by Trump. And they'd be youngish.
Yeah, that would be the difference. I think I like Thomas and Alito.
Thomas is great.
I want them to stay, but obviously they can't stay forever.
But who knows? Maybe after 3.5 years, the country will be in such great shape that whoever runs next is going to be a Republican anyway.
Yeah.
It could be JD or...
You know what? I said this before. My fond wish is that Trump gets in, gets a lot of things going, knocks some things down, and then resigns, and JD becomes president.
Yeah, that's not bad. I would say because he's good at firing people, I would leave him in place for at least 9 months
to get in and get the wall going again.
To get
start the exportation of all these crazy people.
The Office of Efficiency, Government Efficiency.
Get some things going.
Yes,
knock down some things.
I have a friend I haven't talked to him in forever, but that's what he said. They called him the Hatchet Man. That's what his job was. Somebody would bring him in, and he would analyze the business,
and then
just start firing people. Right. Yeah, we need a good hatchet man.
Yes, we do, and maybe Elon's going to be that man. Oh, when on Tuesday did you stop feeling nervous about the election?
So what had I already seen fall by bedtime of the 7? I think we had. I don't know. Was it North Carolina? I think
North Carolina came in early, right? That was the other swing state that we forgot to mention, I think. Anyway, North Carolina came in early, and I think Michigan came in earlier than Pennsylvania.
Well, no, because my map up here, it had Michigan was one of the last 3, so Wisconsin must have come in earlier.
Okay.
I know there was talk of Virginia, which had not been a swing state. So
right.
Just the fact that it was even being talked about during the day.
There's talk about New Hampshire being a swing state. I mean, there's talk about New Jersey becoming a swing state now. Things have moved so far to the right. It's pretty amazing. Remember when Ohio was a swing state?
I do. Florida was.
Yeah, Florida was. Now it's solidly Republican. So maybe there's going to be a red wall. Anyway, I think I was nervous until about 11 o'clock Tuesday night. And then I started to feel like, okay.
I went to bed pretty.
This is going to work out. I was worried about the truckloads of Harris votes coming in, and that old chart where you see the numbers, and then all of a sudden, the spike,
the 3 a.m. spike,
3 a.m. spike of truckloads of votes. How about this one? All the calls for unity.
Let me read one here that this I've seen a lot of similar sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
This is a next guy, whatever. I'm telling you right now, I don't want to hear one effing word about playing nice. Lives were ruined. Good people were bankrupted, hunted down, put in jail. J6ers are dead. We are going to make certain this never happens again. And I see a lot of that.
Yes. And the media is going to play that up. He's going to be going after his political enemies. Well,
yeah,
that's what he ought to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. These people are.
You can't have this is how this always goes. It's a one-sided.
Yes.
You can be as mean and cruel as you want from the left
side. Yeah.
And once things turn around,
Republicans have to play nice.
Yes.
And I say, forget that. Don't play nice.
No.
Bring in the wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Knock them all down.
Fauci, Mayorkas.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Let's. If they don't go to jail, we can ruin their lives some way. I mean, that's this game.
We'll kick them out. I want them out of power.
Started.
Yeah, they started this game. They're complaining about Donald Trump going after his political enemies. What do you think the left has been doing for the last 4 years?
In fact, the only reason he's not going to jail is because he became president.
Yeah,
and these other
they weaponized the Department of Justice against him. They weaponized the entire intelligence service. I mean, remember that letter from 51 intelligence.
Yeah, all those people need to go.
All those people were liars.
All of the CDC, vax mandate people.
Yeah. I don't want unity with these people. I want to defeat them.
Yeah, and we got the numbers, got the momentum.
Yeah.
So, do you remember this show? This was when I asked...
81, okay, yes.
I said I've been nice for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
I want to know, where did 81 million votes come from?
Okay.
So here we...
Here's the chart.
Here, we'll alternate these. In 2008, Obama got 69 million.
Okay, and in 2012, he got 65 million, a little bit of a drop.
In 2016, Hillary got 65 million.
And then Sleepy Joe, got 81 million.
And then 2024, Harris gets 66 million.
So
back
where's
to
that?
The previous 4.
Yes.
So you're
Reversion
telling
to the
me,
mean.
During the time when everybody's afraid to leave their house, the president doesn't campaign, and 20 million extra people, and Donald Trump doesn't lose any votes.
Right.
He gets more votes. So he didn't siphon off 20 million votes
from Trump.
But we got... So if
If you chart this, it's a clear anomaly.
If this was 79 or something, then I would say, all right, well, more people are voting now.
Yeah.
Right. And now everybody's asking what we asked a few months ago. Where did these other 20 millions come from? I don't want to get into that. We've already done it, but I just had to get that out there.
It's an interesting question. Yeah. All right. So I think we're in for 4 years.
Play nice. One more.
Yep.
What will become of Kamala? Will she become a lecturer?
Yeah.
A power broker?
Yeah.
A TV political analyst? Somebody who writes memoirs and makes at least Hillary went on to have somebody going to make her Secretary of State in the future, like Hillary. Is Hillary going to command lecture? Can you imagine her commanding tens of millions of dollars for a speech?
I think she's going to run a foundation. Some rich Democrat is going to give her a deal. You shut up. We'll give you this cushy job, paying a couple $1,000,000 a year, and you run this foundation.
Which you won't.
Apparently, she doesn't do any work. She doesn't do anything. Like her aides and everybody does everything for her. But yeah, she won't do any work. But she'll be the titular head of some foundation, and she'll get her money and. Every once in a while, she'll write a book and she'll get some speeches, but that's it.
What about some cushy university job?
Maybe a university.
Would somebody give her,
How to Lose an Election by Kamala Harris?
$1 million to teach one class on prosecutorial law or something like
maybe.
that.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a really good show.
I think she is so done.
Really good show I heard recently about the things that Kamala did in California. It's interesting. She wrote the laws. She wrote laws that were supposed to be like the Protect the Schools and Stop Crime Act, which is the one that changed it so that you have to steal $1,000 before they send you to jail.
Was she part of that?
Yeah.
Did you see how badly that was defeated?
Yeah.
Californians overwhelmingly like, how about not having decriminalizing crime?
Right.
Oh, hold on. I got one last one.
Yeah.
Just that Donald Trump has been not in power at all for any days at all for 5 days, and already we have stock market boost, massive confidence in the future of the economy.
Yes,
the Houthis have already
said that they're going to stop attacking.
Hamas is ready to.
Yes, Hamas is ready to negotiate, and I think Putin is starting to negotiate with, or Zelensky and Putin. Are
2 months.
He hasn't done anything.
He hasn't talked to anybody today. Oh, and Mexico is already shutting down caravans.
Wow. So afraid
of the tariffs that are coming.
I think he's going to change things. But I mean,
he might have done more for America before he's president than the last 4 years.
Yes. We're going to get tired of winning.
Try me. Not feeling it yet. So, happy days are here again, and sorry about how the short show
turned into a little long show. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.